Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as a few other things. So let's just dive in and let's talk about a few things. But I do just want to ask guys, could hit that like button. It does help the channel grow immensely, and of course, I always do greatly appreciate it. So I do want to put a little bit of a spotlight on Bitcoin just recently right now that, I am noticing a few things around Bitcoin's price action just now. First off, in terms of the daily candle closes, yes, we are still seeing a bullish candle close. Yesterday, we did see a slightly lower price action at about 29.8K for the daily close, which wasn't too, severe for me. We've seen, a little bit of a low at 29.2K, which was nothing too concerning. The only thing that I'm noticing that is concerning right now around Bitcoin is the daily candles on the TradingView chart. So let's actually go look at this real quick. So I have this little demand zone down here. It's basically to test the bottom candle of the May 11th date, as well as kind of just testing around this area going back as far as like December 2020. This is at roughly 29.7K down to about 27.7K. Now, the reason why I'm watching for this level to be tested is essentially because it looks like we are trading against resistance on the 10-day EMA. We are also, putting in some lower highs on this chart, which is telling me that we are seeing a little bit of a weaker price action move on Bitcoin currently. Now, this tells me that we will most likely see a little bit of a sweep of the lows. In terms of volume on Bitcoin, I haven't really been paying attention too much to the volume, but it has been diminished volume since going back as far as like May 12th, which again, this was like sell volume, so technically going back as far as like May 13th, which is a little bit concerning right now at around these price ranges. There's not a lot of buyer demand just right now for Bitcoin. We'll most likely see that step in if we do have that, sweep of the lows one last time. Now, this will most likely push XRP down to roughly like my 33 to 35 cent zone, which I'm watching closely to see if we do see that, but it's not guaranteed. I'm going to watch to see if we do break above the 30 point, like roughly 9K zone, to really kind of reclaim that EMA, which will then, target the 33K zone at roughly the 20-day EMA. But with that in mind, let's talk about a few other things, specifically around the SEC lawsuit. So I do want to quote this article. Now, this article is actually old. This goes back to 2020, December of 2020. And it's the SEC versus Ripple, the cryptocurrency trial of the century. And this is actually linked to, quoting this and they say Ripple operates the RippleNet and XRP payment protocol, considered superior to Bitcoin with its improved ledger, faster settlement speed, and digital wallet for international transactions across 55 countries. Honestly, when we look at this SEC lawsuit, I really do think that this is going to be the trial of the century. I also think that everyone that is in crypto should 100% be focusing their time towards this SEC lawsuit, at least, here and there. Because if you are not paying attention to things happening around this lawsuit, then you simply do not care about the future of crypto. I've always said that this lawsuit, if Ripple loses it, then we are most likely going to be seeing stifled innovation within crypto, and we are most likely going to see crypto in the United States, at least, be attacked further, which means we will most likely see overregulation. We will see projects within crypto absolutely killed, and this is going to be an issue. I really do think that every single crypto project will have a target on its back from the SEC. I think that this was a severe overreach of power, and I've always said that since the beginning of time. And I also do believe that the SEC themselves has definitely been, in the pockets of the bankers. I think that when we talk about the banks themselves, I think that this lawsuit was to really protect their legacy system. This legacy system has been put in place to make these middlemen and these bankers rich. And when you go after something like that, when you look at cutting out that middleman and bringing those fees down 60+% utilizing something like RippleNet, that is a severe no-no from the banks. Now, we also do see here, when you and senior officials from the SEC like Clayton and Hinman made decisions with other people's money, there were massive conflicts of interest. These conflicts went unchecked, and they negatively affected the financial future of tens of thousands who had worked so hard. Now, this is a quote, right? This is a quoted tweet from Johnny Deaton from a tweet by Gary Gensler. When you make decisions with other people's money, there are going to be conflicts of interest. Left unchecked, these conflicts might affect the quality of the advice that you receive and in turn the financial future you have worked so hard to build. This is funny, right? This is a tweet coming from, no other than the chair of the SEC. When we look at this tweet from, Johnny D, and I do want to say, think about it like this. Think about all those individuals that were putting their hard-earned money into XRP, investing, for their future, thinking, all right, well, we are about to be extremely rich, because when you looked at the chart, right, when you looked at everything around that time frame of December, XRP looked like it was building up for that massive run. And I've said this multiple times, I do 100% believe that the price action on XRP was stifled 100%. We look at this, right? Back in November of 2020. By the way, I was actually still investing at around like roughly this time. It was like roughly around like 32 cents to almost 40 cents that I was putting money in. And then, we hit a little bit of a high at like roughly 70 cents. I know on Coinbase it hit like 80 cents at that time. And then all of a sudden, we were coming down, testing some lows, and then all of a sudden the 19th and the 20th came. That's when we seen that massive sell-off event. That's when the SEC officially said, all right, we're going after, Ripple and XRP. And this is when, everything at this time was taking off. Bitcoin was taking off. Ethereum was taking off. So many altcoins were taking off. And XRP's price action sat in the back seat, didn't do anything. But, again, this is an issue. I think that everyone should be focusing on why XRP at this time was the target point. Was it the fact that it was outbeating Ethereum? Was it, the fact that, Ripple was boasting the fact that they were cutting out the middleman in terms of the banking legacy system? In my opinion, we really need to know why XRP was targeted, or I should say Ripple was targeted. I think it's simply the fact that we were about to disrupt a massive system, and it was also going to take away a ton of money that was getting kicked back to, again, the bankers. This is a huge area that we need to focus on, and I do want to see an investigation happen around this entire lawsuit whenever a settlement does happen. And we do see here, I can think of one scenario where this makes sense. If you knew XRP was going to be hindered for a couple years by a lawsuit until some date in the future, you would wait and invest in XRP right before it's freed. And this is coming from Barry Silbert going back to 2019. Ripple, the company, is our largest investment. XRP is not on our conviction list of holdings yet. Super bullish on the company, neutral on the token as of now. Goes back to 2019. We do see here. Think about this. Barry Silbert, largest investment is in Ripple, the company, but they don't hold any XRP. Makes 0 sense. Honestly, I really do think that when we talk about things happening around, Ripple and XRP, I think it is clear that, a lot of individuals most likely knew what was going to happen. I think that this was one big, massive show. I also think that this was a huge shakeout event, and I still think it is a shakeout event because the best way to shake out retail individuals is by playing into the patience game. A lot of individuals don't have what it takes to have the patience to hodl something until the true vision is seen. But we also do see here, U.S. SEC Chair Gary Gensler says there is much to be done to protect crypto investors. And a lot of people, took this as a joke, laughed about it. Honestly, when we look at things going on around, the SEC, this is a government agency that, in my opinion, I look at, as a joke. It's just funny that they continue to overreach and target crypto. It really kind of shows their hand. It shows exactly who they are in bed with, which is, again, the bankers. We also do see here CNBC's exit interview of Clayton 1 month before he stepped down early and dropped the SEC versus Ripple enforcement action. We're going to whack him. Listen closely to this.
Whatever it is, I believe in investors. I also believe in investing. You have to have good companies to invest in, and we have tremendous companies in this country. 62 of the world's 100 largest public companies are here in the United States. Incredible engines for growth. We've seen them respond to the pandemic in an incredibly transparent way. That said, if somebody does something wrong, we're going to whack them. But we don't need to paint with a broad brush. We need to paint with a scalpel. If you have a bad executive.
And this is funny, right? Like, you got to look at a thing around, the SEC. I mean, it's just funny to me that they are literally stifling innovation within the U.S. We look at things happening around, the globe right now, and you look at things happening around crypto adoption specifically, and regulatory frameworks being ushered in around the, world, except for in the U.S. In the U.S., we are still playing, this, all right, hey, we're going to say that there is already, a regulatory framework to kind of follow, even though there actually isn't. And, these companies are breaking the rules, so we're going to go after them. To me, there is just no, fair notice. There's no absolute fair notice. The fair notice should already have been thrown out. Ripple should have already have won this case off of the fair notice by itself. And the SEC, in my opinion, it shouldn't even exist anymore. It should be disbanded. We should not be paying, tax money to this to fund this, I would say, corrupt, agency. Because to me, it's just that they are picking winners and losers and going after what they think is, again, a security, which crypto, in my opinion, it shouldn't even be in the legal frameworks of the SEC. I don't think that the SEC should even have a boundary around crypto. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments below. But also, we do see here, BlackRock invests $400 million after denying allegations of disrupting Terra Luna. Interesting. Listen closely to what Kevin O'Leary is saying here.
That it's going to provide. Let's just take, for example, USDC, stablecoin. Yesterday, Circle, the company that issues USDC, closed a deal, first time ever, with Fidelity and BlackRock for $400 million. Those are the most conservative money managers on earth. What are they doing giving $400 million to Circle? Because they figured out that as a payment system, it's far more efficient than transferring between banks, which sucks. It takes days to move money between countries. Sometimes it gets lost. This would all be eradicated with something like USDC pegged to the US dollar. You've got the Senate. You've got Senator Loomis. Or you've got Toomey and Haggerty all putting bills forward to support these initiatives. So you've got policy coming. I think Fidelity and BlackRock saw the policy, talked to the senators, said, okay, this is going to become legal one day. We want to get ahead of it. And already in stablecoins, there's $120 billion right now. And that's before it becomes regulated. So there's
and this is the truth, right? Like, I talked to you guys on multiple occasions. I have multiple videos on Terra Luna, and I talked to you guys essentially how it was targeted. And I do believe that there was, a plan behind the entire scenes around this specific attack. I think it was to usher in regulatory frameworks around stablecoins and really kind of attack stablecoins as they are, because I do believe that they do pose a risk to, possible, shakeups within the reserve currency aspect. But again, that is talking more so about, ushering in, for an example, a US-backed stablecoin as well, which would be USDC. USDC is essentially the chosen one in terms of a stablecoin. And we've seen that from the investments from BlackRock and Fidelity. And a lot of people even thrown Citadel out there saying that Citadel most likely have targeted it as well. But again, we don't know too much. We can only speculate a little bit. In my opinion, I think that there's a lot to, this story. I think that there's going to be a lot of investigations as well. But to me, I think that this is, one massive shakeout as well. I think that this was a huge shakeout that happened around crypto. I still believe that, we are in a lengthened cycle. I think that we're going to see an incredible year ahead for crypto. It might take a little bit of time to get back into a full recovery standard, but, as everyone is so fearful right now, everyone thinks that the world's going to end as, Jerome Powell talks more so about inflation. We're talking more so about a recession coming. To me, I'm not going to be too fearful. Yesterday we hit, 8 on the Fear and Greed Index, which was the lowest score in over 2 years on the Fear and Greed Index, which was absolutely insane to me. And everyone is way too fearful to buy anything because they think everything's going to go much lower. When we heard that as well? Going back to March of 2020, we heard everything's going to go much lower. We heard Bitcoin going down to $3,000. We hit $3,800 on Bitcoin, almost $3,900. Everyone wanted lower. Everyone wants lower right now on Bitcoin as well. Okay, we might have one last sweep of the lows, but I do foresee that we are most likely around our bottoming point on Bitcoin and this entire market. Think about it like this. How much lower can we actually go on Bitcoin before, institutional investors jump in and buy the dip? First off, around this entire stablecoin attack, I think that this attack was in place to shake out the market. I think it was to, really kind of bring it down to significant prices that institutional investors could jump in and invest in. We actually seen, some significant inflows around institutional investments that I did find. And I could actually show you guys that real quick. 1 second. So here we have inflows and outflows from institutional investors. Now, we do see here investors buy into price weakness with inflows totaling $274 million. This goes back to the 16th, just 2 days ago. Digital asset investment products saw record weekly inflows for this year, totaling $274 million last week, a strong signal that investors saw the recent UST stablecoin depeg and its associated broad sell-off as a buying opportunity. And I also foreseen this as a buying opportunity. I think that this entire sell-off was majorly inorganic. We do see here Bitcoin was the primary benefactor, which inflows totaled $299 million last week, suggesting investors were flocking to the relative safety of the largest digital asset. UST, the stablecoin at the epicenter of the recent price correction, saw AUM fall by 99% over the last week, despite some intrepid investors adding, $0.043 million to positions. Blockchain equity investors panicked with outflows totaling $51 million. But again, we've seen massive buying of the dip, which also tells me, listen, if we go a little bit lower, we will see massive amounts of money, pouring into Bitcoin and also even crypto. Everyone's still saying, we're going lower, we're going lower, we're going lower. We also seen this before. We've seen investors and, people wanting lower prices on crypto. But guess what? Usually, as everyone is calling for much lower, there's barely any bulls in this market right now. But as everybody switches standards and we see one side getting a lot more attention than the other, we most likely see the opposite. So as everyone is calling for a bear market, everybody's calling for, Bitcoin to go much lower, we will most likely see the opposite. And that is what I'm betting on right now. And of course, you guys don't need to follow me. I'm just telling you guys, listen, this is what I'm doing. I'm buying the dip. I'm averaging in. But with that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.